Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty show presented by Juice Stool. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's get right into it.
You're completely missing the boat, hour. You're at the wrong dock.
I'd have to say this. If he's looking to go to a new team, the last thing he wants to do is be like, oh, I'm not playing. No, he's got to show up. And he's got to show the Browns, you just lost $250 million by not playing, by not giving me that money. You're going to give it to him? Go for it.
This is crazy. Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins for 5 picks. Second to position. Should we end the podcast now?
I that's breaking news.
Should we end it now? Now or later? Which one?
I thought
So walk out
right now. The Vikings going to the division. Hear it first. Hear it first.
That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got
You're
the
crazy.
full package.
No way. I don't
the
care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy.
We want to talk about legacy-defining plays and legacy-defining throws. 13 seconds, and you get the ball into field goal range. That is absolutely insane.
I have to be frank with you guys. Mitch Trubisky is not a good NFL quarterback. He has never been.
Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
Okay, today's topic is my favorite, and Meisty is going to get ready for a good you-know-what whooping. So this is going to be very exciting because we seem to have a mighty disagreement in terms of tight end value. And, I just think that we have to get a certain conventional way of thinking out of our head, right? Like, we think that in today's NFL, it's the same way it's always been. But the coaches and now there's a dedicated, I believe, almost every team, if not every team, has a personnel on their staff dedicated to analytics, to advancing the evolving game of football. Football's an evolving game. We're in 2022. We're not in 1960 anymore. We can throw the ball. We can make forward passes. That's a thing that exists in football. That's right. Not only can a team throw the ball past the line of scrimmage, but it's the most important part of the game. With that being said, you have to take a look at how you can utilize contracts. Salary cap goes up every year. Contracts go up every year. Look at Kyler Murray's contract just a few days ago. Enormous contracts. Everything goes up. That being said, I have a take here that tight end value is on a higher level than wide receiver value because look at a guy like Travis Kelce, who's making just over $14 million a year. Then you take a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's making about $30 million a year. That's half the amount. Now, Travis Kelce, right, if you just want to go from a pure yards perspective, they're about within 150, 200 yards of each other, all right? Travis Kelce, his passer rating when targeted is over 100 compared to, let's say, a guy like, who was it? Stephon Diggs. That's what I was looking at. 90.6 passer rating when targeted. Now, am I trying to suggest that that Stephon Diggs, there's any tight end in the league more valuable than Stephon Diggs? Absolutely not. But the perspective here is incredible. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, a guy that lines up as a wide receiver more than he lines up as a tight end. Yes, I know his title is tight end, but he's getting paid half the amount, and he's better than almost every single wide receiver in the league. Why are teams not catching on to this? Look at a guy like Mike Gesicki at $10 million a year, a third of the amount of Tyreek. He's getting half the amount as Amari Cooper. 76 targets, over 800 yards last year. 11 yards per target. Look at Stephon Diggs, 8 yards per target. Kenan Allen got double the amount of targets that what's his name got, that Mike Gesicki got last year. 8 yards per target. Again, Stephon Diggs way better than Mike Gesicki. Don't get me wrong, but this gives you a perspective. How much you can utilize. How are teams not seeing this, Meisty? I'm sorry, I don't get it. I know there's a personnel dedicated to analytics and to this stuff, but at the end of the day, look at the value that tight ends add. And look at how much of that cap space you can utilize by now putting it into other players and drafting receivers through the draft and drafting receiver and building your receiving core that way. Advantage.
Rocky, you wanted to get right into it? Let's get right into it. How many tight ends are there in the league that you can say are better than most receivers?
What does that mean, better than most receivers? That's a very
How
big
many
statement.
How many tight ends are in that tier that are making less money, and you're like Mark Andrews? How many? Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, that's 3, right? Give me another one. You said Mike Gesicki. Who else? Give me
Let's
someone
put it
else.
like this. Let's put it like
there's
this.
5, 6 of them. How many receivers
There
are
are-
there that are better than them?
There are 23 wide receivers making
Yeah.
more money than the highest paid tight end on average per year. Guarantee might be a little different, but if you
Okay.
look at the average salary per year, there are 23. Cortland Sutton is making more money than Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews. Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson, Hunter Renfrow. All these guys are making more money per year than the best tight ends in football. Now, you want to tell me there's not as much depth at the tight end position? I'm okay with that. But when we're talking about top-notch tight ends, you want to get, what would you rather? Would you rather Travis Kelce and another top-notch number 2 receiver, which you can get for $10 million? Or not even top-notch, a good, solid number 2 receiver that's going to add incredible production to your team? Or would you rather just spend all that on the best receiver in football? You're now spreading your value out to several positions. You're now adding 500, 600 yards a year to your team. More points equals more wins. More yards equals more points equals more wins. That's how you add value to your team. It's about adding value. It's about team construction. This is what I'm talking about, evolving the way we think about football. It's not about let's get the best players and that's it. No, let's utilize the money so that we can have the best rounded team that we can. Is it important to have game breakers? Yes, but to what extent is the question? Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this. What's the goal of playing football in the NFL? What's the end goal? Okay. Let's go through Super Bowl history, okay? And tell me Super Bowl winning teams that the guy that they threw the ball to all the time, right? And was their number 1 receiver. And I know you're going to say Gronk, and Gronk is the only one, and there's not every year that Gronk was there, and Gronk was not always the best player on the team, but for some of them he was, and Gronk is the exception, always an exception. But tell me a time in the NFL that teams were winning Super Bowls through their tight end.
I don't have any proof.
Gronk.
Together, just like you don't. Yeah. What do you say?
I said Gronk.
I said Gronk.
Gronk, right, Gronk. No, so again, Mike, we've talked about this many times. I'm not even going to address this question because you are literally judging an individual based off a team accomplishment. Super Bowls are won by teams. So this team happened to have won with a good wide receiver on the team. Just like Sasha Vujacic won 2 straight NBA finals. Great. So you know the Lakers could not have done it without Sasha Vujacic. I mean, how many times have the Lakers won from 2010 to 2012 in NBA finals without Sasha Vujacic? He happened to have been on the team. So wide receiver happened to have been on the team. Now, you cannot translate wide receiver production over tight end production leading to Super Bowls. You don't have anything to prove me that. This is your convoluted theory that you've just created right here on this podcast.
Hold on.
Oh,
Now you got him Googling now.
Right now, I've got to Google it. You want me to wait?
How many MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs have there been? How many tight ends?
Oh, so now
won?
Super Bowl MVPs is the be all and end all. So I'm
Let's
talking about
Let's see if they ever won. Let's see. You had Super Bowl MVPs. Let's see. I don't see a tight end anywhere on this list. Tight end, no. See, I see a lot of receivers. A lot of wide receivers. See a kick returner. I don't see any tight end. Wide receivers, more wide. Not one tight end ever won the Super Bowl MVP. Let's start there. Let's just start there. Now receivers do. Receivers win you games. Tight ends, they're there to block more. The tight ends that are actually good at catching, the ones like Kelce and Mark Andrews, okay, so they're very slim to get. You cannot go to college and try to find those guys. They're very hard to find. Those guys come very rare. They're very hard to find. A lot of them turn out to be busts. How many Hayden Hurst do you find? They're all busts. They end up just coming in. They're not that good. They can't block. You need them to block, right? You have guys like Nick Boyle who are great at blocking but aren't great at catching. So a point of a tight end is not to be going out there and catching the ball. Now you have guys like Mark Andrews, Gronk, but even guys like those guys can still block. They're all great blockers. I have to stop watching NASCAR.
I want to get back to your point, okay? You're saying they're blockers. Again, we have to forget about everything you thought about football till now, okay? Because you, and not just you, I also do it. I have a tendency to have a traditional way of thinking about football, But the reality is that the game is evolving every single day, and tight ends are no longer utilized in the same way that used to be. Just like fullbacks are no longer utilized in the same way they used to be. You ever heard of Kyle Pitts? I'm sure you've heard of him, right? The man is 6'6", 240 pounds. He lined up as a wide receiver I'm looking at it now, over 500 times last year. He lined up as a tight end less than 250 times last year.
Not really
the top tight ends in football.
Really
the top tight ends in football are what?
He's not a real tight end.
So is Travis Kelce a tight end? Is George
Travis
Kittle a
Kelce
tight end?
can block. Kyle Pitts, I don't think can block very well.
Travis Kelce lined up as a wide receiver over 700 times last year. And only at half of that, a little over half as a tight end. George Kittle lined up as a wide receiver more than a tight end.
How many Kyle Pitts? How many Travis Kelce's? Give me a number. There are
Mike Gesicki lined up as a tight end less than 100 times last year. You know how many tight ends there are that line up as wide receivers more often than they line up at tight ends? It happens all the freaking time. Teams are utilizing tight ends in different ways. They have the tight end title, but you don't understand. These guys can be just as productive as really good receivers. Now, am I going to tell you?
Rocky, let me have you for a second. Listen to this. You told me this earlier. Okay, Robbie Anderson, right, makes more money than Travis Kelce. Now, hang on. Let me finish this. Right, let me give you a full thought here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Robbie Anderson's production, right? Robbie Anderson. Let's pull up Robbie Anderson's stats here. Last year, I don't even know. I'm trying to find his season stats.
I have his stats. Which stat you want to know?
I need a season. You know, it's a season average, right? So I don't even know. Did he play a full season even? Did he play a full season?
He played 17 games last year. He caught 53 catches for 519 yards. 3 yards after catch. I mean, his passer rating when he targeted was 50.
Hold on. There's no quarter. Robbie Anderson. He hasn't a quarterback. Last year was a disaster.
That's true. I'm not going to take these stats and take it for face value just because he doesn't have receiving yards. I'm not saying Robbie Anderson's a bad receiver. He's not, but he's average. And we're talking about he's getting paid more than Travis Kelce.
I mean, he might actually have a good quarterback next year. We'll see who they start.
But wait, forget about quarterback for a second. His passer rating when targeted is 50.5. That reflects on the receiver. That means he's not getting open. And he was not a good route runner last year. He's had better years in the past. Don't get me wrong. But last year was not a good year of his.
Give me the comparison of production, not based off last season, but what you would expect Robbie Anderson to produce, right? You'd have to, I guess, figure that out, right? And give me the tight end equivalent to that.
Okay, so let's take the average. What stat do you want to look at?
Maybe his career average. He's never played with a real good quarterback. So give me his career average. Maybe what's his career average?
That's why I like looking at yards, average depth of target, right, which is good for wide receivers, and passer rating when targeted. So that means that's an individually driven stat because that means this is the quarterback's pass rating when he's targeting this receiver, right? When he's targeting this receiver. So that reflects much more. Now, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. No statistic is perfect. You got to watch to see. But it at least reflects much more accurately than receiving yards because receiving yards, there's tons of context with that. We know that. But at the end of the day, let's look at a guy like Robbie Anderson last year. Was probably the best, not probably, for sure the best year of his career. Targeted 136 times. 136 times and about 1,100 yards. Now, let's look at a guy for Morty's sake. Dallas Goedert, okay? Last year, he played in 15 games, targeted 76 times. What's 136 minus 76? It's a lot less, right? It's close to half. 136 minus 76 times, almost half, maybe a little more than half targeted, and only 270 yards less or something like that. 270, that's half the amount of targets. You can be taking those targets, whatever it is, 60, 70 targets. You can get 500, 600, 700 yards from another receiver. That's 500 more yards a year through the air if you now take that money and just get a different receiver. It makes no sense to me. What are teams and teams are starting to jump onto this train. And I have a hunch. Maybe why did the Chiefs trade away Tyreek Hill instead of Travis Kelce? Now, obviously, they would get more value for Tyreek Hill. There's no question about that. But at the end of the day, they know we can keep Travis Kelce for half the amount. The production won't be as good. He's not as big of a game changer. But is it worth twice the amount? No. So let's keep Travis Kelce for half the amount. We still have a guy that gets, almost as much more yards after contact, breaks a lot of tackles, a great weapon in the middle of the field, can win on a lot of levels. We still have that type of guy that's also a game changer for half the amount. I'm taking that. And I have a suspicion that's the perspective the Chiefs had on it. What'd you say?
Rocky, you said a lot of stuff, and I asked you a very simple question. Okay,
I told you.
give me the guy you're talking. You're saying Dallas Goedert, right? You're comparing Dallas Goedert to Robbie Anderson. That's the production comparison, right? How much
Dallas
money?
Goedert's getting more production than Robbie Anderson. That's my
Okay.
point.
How much money does Dallas Goedert get paid?
About the same amount.
About the same amount, right? He gets the same amount as Robbie Anderson. Okay, so you're telling me
And
that you would rather.
and I just
so
told
what's the
you.
difference?
Because if you targeted Dallas Goedert the same amount of times, you're talking about 400 or 500 more yards a year.
But he's not
400
going
yards a
to
year.
get targeted. He's not capable of producing more.
That's fine. So then you don't have to get a guy like that, but get a guy like Mike Gesicki for 10 million, get another guy for 10 million, and he can be targeted
You're
more.
telling me
and
Mike
there you
Gesicki's
go.
better than Dallas
Boom.
Goedert?
You already have
Mike
another
Gesicki's-
500 yards.
Mike Gesicki's better than Dallas Goedert. Mike Gesicki's better than Dallas Goedert.
Mike Gesicki, I don't know if he's better, but he's pretty close. Pretty similar type of production. Yeah. Similar type of production.
Okay.
We're talking about Mike Gesicki getting $10 million a year. I mean, and like Morty mentioned, by the way, great point with Dallas Goedert, perfect for Jalen Hurts, right? Even a young quarterback like Jalen Hurts, only targeting Dallas Goedert 76 times. Granted, he missed a few games.
Okay,
But only
Rocky.
targeted Dallas Goedert to 76 times. And yet you're getting that 830 yards. You're getting a pass rating of 121. When Jalen Hurts targets Dallas Goedert, his pass rating is 121, Meisty. That's
Rocky,
nuts.
Name me
He's
a
so
time-
efficient when he throws to Dallas Goedert.
Name me a time that the tight end that was super productive without a receiver being better. That he was the number one receiver on the team. And tell me what that team did that year when the receiver was number one.
Why do you love judging individuals based off of teams? I'm talking about
It's
individual
not based
stats.
off the team, Rocky.
Yes,
What
it
are
is.
you- No, it's
You're
not.
saying,
Rocky. My
this team
point
didn't
is-
succeed. So that what?
The point is that Rocky, a big part of the team is the receiving core. Correct?
It's a huge part of the team, for sure.
Part of the team. The huge part of the offense is who you give the ball to when you call hike. Correct? So if you
100%.
have Adrian Peterson, right, in his prime, right, then you can say, oh, we have Adrian Peterson. Maybe we don't, right? Maybe we don't need the receiver so much. Fine, right? There's you have Derrick Henry that works too, right? These are guys that can break the exceptions to the rules. Now, these teams, by the way, never won Super Bowls. We're not gonna judge that, right? But we're gonna talk about the receiving core. Receiving core is a much bigger part, right? Nowadays in the NFL in 2022, right? The receiving core is huge. Okay, so when your receivers aren't good, you're not gonna win Super Bowls. And don't say, well, you can't judge it based off one player. I'm not judging. I'm based off you can have Travis Kelce
Down
and
nothing like
Rocky. Correct. When you can have, I'm gonna ask you this, right, Rocky? Here's the situation, right? The top two tight ends in the league. We're gonna take Travis Kelce, and we'll take Mark Andrews or George Kittle, whoever you want to put in there, right? That's up for discussion. Who's better than who? But let's say Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, right? You can have those two guys line up every single time for you, or whatever, how many times they line up, or you can have I don't know who puts up the same numbers as those guys. Give me someone that produces.
Literally only like 2 receivers. We're talking about like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams.
Let's say Devontae Adams. Okay, would you rather have Mark Andrews, Devontae Adams? Sorry, would you rather have Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce or Devontae Adams?
Mark Andrews and Travis. First of all, I'd probably rather Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, but let's put it like this, okay? Let's look at a receiver that's making $15 million a year. Would you rather Travis Kelce and, let's see, and Adam Thielen, or one of those top guys?
Adam Thielen, Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen.
Or one of those top guys? Adam Thielen, pretty darn good receiver. No Tyreek Hill. But Travis Kelce, wait a second. You're already getting close to the same amount of production with Travis Kelce alone.
And what's
to
the
Tyreek Hill.
cost?
Now
What's the
you
cost
can
for
spend the
Adam- hold
remainder
on.
and get an Adam Thielen. You can get an
What's-
Adam Thielen with
what's
the money
the
that you
cost?
just spent on one guy. On one
What's
guy.
the cost for Adam Thielen and Travis Kelce? What's the cost, Rocky? Give me the numbers.
About $30 million.
And how much does it cost for Devontae Adams?
$28 million. And Tyreek Hill's $30 million a year.
Okay,
That's
Tyreek Hill, by
exactly
the way.
my
Tyreek Hill,
point.
by the way,
Adam,
got-
what?
Tyreek Hill got overpaid.
But that's the receiver market nowadays. That's exactly what you were saying at the beginning, and I agree with you. That is the market, and receivers are going to now start to get overpaid, and tight ends are not going to get overpaid so quickly. The market will go up.
They will be the next thing to get overpaid.
But the market for receivers is going to go up at a much quicker rate. You know why? Because like you said, it's all about the passing game, and it's 100% all about the passing game. But you know what else can dramatically help your passing game? Having a fantastic tight end and a very good receiver rather than just one spectacular receiver. That can also help your passing game.
How many? Okay, more you brought up earlier about making a tier list receivers. Can we do this? I mean, of tight ends. Rocky, I want your top. Rocky, I want your tier 1 tight ends. Go.
There's only like probably 6 really good tight ends. There's Kittle, there's Kelce, there's Andrews, there's Waller, and probably about it, right? Am I missing anyone? Maybe Kyle Pitts, right? So it's probably about five really good tight ends. And all those guys, Kyle Pitts, he's on a rookie contract. But a rookie contract for a tight end is half the amount as a wide receiver, right? All those guys are making half the amount as the top 5 wide receivers.
It's my turn to speak on this. When Kyle Pitts' contract is up, okay, there might be a chance that they sign him to a breaking record deal. If he shows up next year and he's balling, and the next year he balls out, right? And then his contract's coming up, and it's time for him to get his extension, right? Falcons might give him the break the bank for him, right? Let's say. I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, right? We have no clue. We can only speculate. So we're speculating. If they break the bank for him, right? And Mark Andrews' contract comes up, or Kelsey's contract. Well, Kelsey's got to be a little older, but not Mark Andrews. Let's say Mark Andrews' contract comes up as well, and whenever his contract's up, right? Or the next guy that's much better, that's playing better than Kyle Pitts, right? He's going to be like, well, Kyle Pitts is making X amount, I should be getting more. And that's when the market will break for the tight end when those guys are producing. So yes, as they produce, the market just broke for the receivers this year. Literally this year, they broke for the market. Market was lower. It literally broke this year. The tight ends are not going to be as fast as the receivers. Yes, the tight end market will break. Probably you'll start with Kyle Pitts in 2-3 years from now.
And
We'll
Mike,
have and in 2-3 years, when Kyle Pitts gets $25 million a year, right? I'll come back and be like, I told you so.
No, Meisty, that is exactly my point. So long as the tight end market continues to be low, this is when you utilize it. I completely agree with you. That's what I've been trying to tell you the whole time. Right now, the wide receiver market is at such a high rate, it's double the tight end market. Why are teams not utilizing this right now? Is it possible in the future? You know what's going to happen in the future? Teams are going to be like, you know what? I saw this guy named Rocky on the Rocky and Meisty show, and he said, he sort of made a good point. He said that I could sort of get tight ends for much cheaper at similar production, maybe just a little less production. Why don't we start jumping on that train? And then this team's going to do it, and then that team's going to do it. All of a sudden, tight ends aren't so cheap anymore. Because Rocky made a good point a couple of years ago. Now the market's gone up. That's my point. That's why teams right now have to jump on the train and sign these tight ends. Mark Andrews is making $14 million a year, monster contract. Meanwhile, the guy has been the best receiver on the Ravens for like 5 years now. Okay, and Tyreek Hill's getting double the amount.
5 years. What have the Ravens done over the last 5 years? Talk to me. Give me something. Nothing.
What?
They have nothing. Not even a conference championship game. Nothing.
What? Oh my gosh, you're doing it again. You're judging individuals on team things. What does one have to do with the other?
Because they haven't had a receiving core in 5 years. They haven't had good receivers in 5 years.
How many Super Bowls has Devontae Adams won? Trivia question.
Did he even win one?
No, he never won one. They won before he came to the league.
I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that. But I can speak on this.
We'll be right back to this episode of the Rocky and Meisty Show. But first, I have a message for all you sports bettors out there. Listen, the NFL season is right around the corner. And what better place to start than BetUS? Using our link and promo code in the description below, you can access a sign-up bonus of up to 125%. That's right, a figure unmatched in the industry, special for our loyal listeners. You can bet on all of your favorite sports, including NFL, MLB, and UFC. You can access live betting odds, parlays, props, and so much more. BetUS truly is the best all-around sports betting experience. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, press the link in the description below, and get started today.
Okay, let me tell you one more thing on this point right here, okay? Tight end production compared to the wide receiver production, right? There are not many, bottom line. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, right? But there are not many tight ends that can produce as well as the even not the top tier, even tier B, right? The tier B tight ends are not really close to the tier B receivers. The tier B receivers are much better than the tier B tight ends at the end of the day, right? The list fall when you can and I don't want, I hate bringing like fantasy football into this, but if you look at the fantasy football like draft boards, right? No, like the top tier tight ends go earlier, right? And then there's a fall off, right? And even the Mike Gesicki's fall off into like the 5-6 rounders, right? But really, right? But in the second, third rounds are the Kelce's, Mark Andrews. Sometimes it goes not really. It was a little early for those guys, but every league is going to have different things depending on how many people. But my point is that you can't really find tight ends to produce. So you're saying, oh, pay cheaper guys, get near the same amount. You're not getting the same production, right? At the end of the day, if a cornerback lines up on a tight, like a lot of things are like, who takes the tight end a lot, right? Like a lot of times it's not the cornerback. It'll be, a lot of times it ends up being like a linebacker somehow covers him, and they get more production when they can get off the tight end. But as soon as like a cornerback starts covering a tight end, they be like, oh, tight ends are much bigger though. Okay, so then you have to find bigger cornerbacks will start coming around, and it'll all balance itself out. So the tough part is that, yes, you can get production from guys, like from tight ends, but it's hard to find those guys. They're not many. The Kyle Pitts is going to break the bank. It's going to even out the tight ends. The salary cap will continue to rise. After tight ends, it'll be the next guy. We just had the linemen break all the record, right? Broke the bank. So the linemen got all paid, right? And then now it's the receivers. The quarterbacks got paid. Now there's receivers. Next year will be the tight ends. The following year will be the this linebacker, that guy, the linebacker, right? Then that's how eventually guys will be making $1 billion a contract. Eventually either it'll crash or I don't know, it'll keep going up.
Stocks only go up as
we're at $500 million right now. Our biggest contracts are $500 million.
Yeah, so I agree. Give it a second, okay? I agree with that point in that there aren't as many good tight ends as there are wide receivers. The wide receiver position is stacked. But number one, I want to go back to your point about the linebacker thing. That is another advantage tight ends have. Even if they're the best tight ends in football, they'll be going up against strong safeties and linebackers as opposed to cornerbacks. That already is an advantage. The fact they get to line up against those guys right away. You got a guy like Travis Kelce going up one-on-one against a linebacker. Forget about it. Game over. Now you got Tyreek Hill going up against a top-notch cornerback. A little more of a duel over there.
Okay. And here you get ready for this. When you have Devontae Adams, you have to double team him, right? 2 cornerbacks, right? When you have Adam Thielen, you can technically one-on-one him. It's right. A good cornerback can really take him one-on-one, right? Fine, right? When it comes to, so if you have Adam Thielen and Travis Kelce on your team, right, then you can use a cornerback to focus more on Travis Kelce and use Travis, right, and go Travis, and then have a cornerback focused on Adam Thielen. But if you have Devontae Adams and you have you have to use a top cornerback and another cornerback to cover him. And then Travis Kelce a worse cornerback can't cover Travis Kelce. So now you're using linebackers.
Double coverage is not with 2 cornerbacks. Double coverage is with a cornerback and a free safety generally. Free safety lingers back there.
Right. You're true. You're right.
Yeah. And if you have okay, but back to your other point. Is my video coming in a little
shaky?
Can
you cut that from this video? That was actually, I completely missed the point that there's safeties. I completely forgot about the safeties. Made me feel stupid. Okay, Rocky. So let me hit you with this real quick. So you talked about Adam Thielen and Travis Kelce or Devontae Adams. So when you have a guy like Devontae Adams, though, you have to use a top tier cornerback, and then you're using your safety to have to cover him also, right? So that's 2 guys covering Devontae Adams. When you have Travis Kelce, you can still use like a safety to cover him. You can use a cornerback to cover him. Then Adam Thielen can get like second tier attention. And not that he's saying he's not good, but okay, you can work it out with a second tier cornerback. Obviously, if you only have Jalen Ramsey and then everyone else is like trash, then like fine, like you're struggling. But like that's gonna happen if you have bad cornerbacks. So we're talking about a team that like the Ravens who have good cornerbacks, right? They would be able to cover Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen. They would have trouble covering Devontae Adams and then also making sure to cover Mike Gesicki, right? So yeah, you're saying I'm saying get Devontae Adams and well, I don't know about Mike Gesicki, but get Devontae Adams and a second tier tight end, and the second tier tight end will produce a lot more than Adam Thielen and Travis Kelce. I think Devontae Adams and a tier 2 tight end will produce more with the same quarterback as Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen.
You can't get what is going on here? You can't get Devontae Adams and Mike Gesicki. That's the problem. Mike Gesicki's getting $10 million a year. Devontae Adams is getting $28 million a year. You're already wasting another $8 million, which you could be using for an offensive line.
So give me. So
you
I
already
gotta think
wasted your salary cap.
Okay, so I gotta think of someone under Mike Gesicki that's not making.
You can't get it. That's the problem. Once you commit so much money to Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, your options are not plentiful. They're just not. But if you're only committing $15 million to Travis Kelce, you can now get another very solid receiver out there. You can. And by the way, try putting a safety one-on-one with Travis Kelce. Don't work out well for the safety very often. You brought the Ravens as an example. Great. One of the most loaded secondaries in the league. That ain't going to work out for most teams.
You're talking about Travis Kelce. You're talking about Travis Kelce. Anywhere with Travis Kelce, you're bringing Travis Kelce. How about Darren Waller? Not Travis. Travis Kelce is tier 1, right? Tier 1A. Like that's top tier, right?
Tier S.
What?
S tier.
S. No, but like he's like in tier S, he is number 1, let's say, right? And then you have like Mark Andrews and Kittle, and then you can get like Darren Waller under that, right? And then there's arguments. Everyone can argue whatever they want to argue. I don't care, right? So you're giving me the top tier guy. I'm giving you the top tier receiver, right? But let's not talk about those guys. That's for superstars. You're talking superstars, right? Superstars are just better, right? When Travis Kelce signed a deal, right? That was he made more money than all the other tight ends, and that was the market, right? And he broke the market, and now maybe the tight ends are going to make more, then he's going to get signed again to a bigger deal, and that's just how it works, right? So look at you want to look at the top tier players, right? Look at Patrick Mahomes. He's a top tier player in the league, right? He might be the best in the league right now. That's argumentative, right? Whether you want to say Rodgers, Brady, still, I don't care who you want to say, right? He's part of the argument, right? He doesn't make the most in a year, right? There's guys like Kyler Murray who are nowhere near Patrick Mahomes. Are making more money than him per year. And Lamar Jackson's going to get signed to more money than Patrick Mahomes per year. And Deshaun Watson made more money than Patrick Mahomes per year.
Yeah,
right? And none of those guys even have given to a team what Patrick Mahomes has done. Patrick Mahomes has been to the Super Bowls multiple times, right? He's won it. He's always late in the playoffs. And you want to say, oh, well, we don't judge on Super Bowls, fine. But Patrick Mahomes produces. Oh, you want to say, oh, you had great players. It doesn't matter. The guy produces. He's a fantastic player, right? I don't like him very much, but he is a fantastic player, okay? So, right, and he's not making more. What? Because when he signed his deal, it was bonkers. We lost our mind when that deal got signed. We're like, wow, what a contract. Now we're like, what a contract. Not such a good contract, Patrick Mahomes, right? So Lamar Jackson's out here gambling on himself. Going off topic here. Lamar Jackson's gambling on himself that if he produces very well, he'll break even more money. Right? Correct. But I'm just explaining, that's the market. So if you start signing tight ends, as soon as you start signing more tight ends to these contracts and getting the tight ends are going to go shooting up their contracts because they're being used more, right? A receiver is used almost every single play. How often do you see receivers on the sideline, right? They're usually in the game. A top tier receiver is usually in the game every single play, right? Unless he just got big hit or he just very deep route, he'll come out. But most of the time, a top tier receiver is in the game most of the game, right? Tight ends aren't always going to be in the play. If they need extra receivers, right? If they need a deeper play, they're not always going to go. Now, yes, you can say, oh, Travis Kelce will be in the game. Mark Andrews is in the game when you need a deep play. Okay, and those guys are going to break the bank when their contracts are up. Kyle Pitts is in the game when you need a deep play. Kyle Pitts, when his contract's up, is going to break the bank. These guys are going to make $20+ million a year.
Well, first of all, Mark Andrews just got his contract last year, $14 million a year. But besides the point, when that happens,
for a tight end.
I'm more than happy to talk when that happens, but it hasn't. So I don't know why we're talking about theoreticals. Right now, you have to look at the market.
If we were having this conversation last year, we wouldn't be able to talk about receivers. The only reason why we're having this conversation is because the receivers just broke the thing. And you're like, oh, receivers are getting paid so much money because it just happened.
First of all, that's exactly the point. Now's the time to jump on the tight end train because this is when wide receivers are making more than ever.
So in 1 year from now, all tight ends are going to be signed to multi-$20 million deals, and you're going to be stuck with a low-tier guy saying, oh, I got mid-tier.
Only God knows. I don't know. You want to talk about it next year? We'll have the discussion next year. It is right now, July 2022. That is when we were having this discussion.
By the way, the funny part is you're like, oh, I'd rather this, but you can't get these guys, by the way. That's also, you can't get anyone.
No, they don't want to get these guys because they think that it's more, some teams at least think that it's more worth it to spend double the amount on wide. You can get Tyreek Hill? No, you can't. The Dolphins just offered a boatload to get Tyreek Hill. That's why you can't get Devon Adams either, but the Packers offered a boatload to get him. You can get him if you offer enough, right? You can get any receiver if you offer enough. You don't have to offer as much to get a tight end. You can sign for half the amount to get a tight end. That's the whole point. Now, let me just tell you like this. You were talking about it's only top tiers. It's true. There's a lot more depth at the wide receiver position than there is tight end. But number one, that's a part of the point. Top-notch tight ends are a better investment than top-notch wide receivers. Number two, let's even look a little lower down the list. Dalton Schultz, okay? Dalton Schultz, very good tight end. Top 10, maybe borderline top 10, right? Maybe borderline top 10. Man is heavily utilized in that Cowboys receiving game. He is making less money than Corey Davis. Corey Davis. The man has 78 receptions, over 100 targets. His passer rating when he's targeted is over 118, more yards after contact, more broken tackles, producing a lot more for that team than Corey Davis is for his team. And yet he's getting paid over $1 million less per year. I mean, it's mind-boggling what you're seeing. Dalton Schultz compared to Corey Davis, it's not even, Dalton Schultz is a top-notch player. You know, is a really good player at his position. Corey Davis is barely an average receiver. I mean, we're talking about, this is crazy value you're getting over here. Crazy. Instead of getting Corey Davis, you can get Dalton Schultz and you still have $1 million to boot. This is Meisty. This is crazy value.
What's $1 million?
Will the market change? Even if it was the same amount, who cares? Will the market change?
What do you mean?
Possible.
What are you going to do with $1 million? Sign a backup punter?
Even if it's the same amount, you're getting Dalton Schultz over Corey Davis. Dalton Schultz was a enormous part of that incredible Cowboys passing game last year. Corey Davis? He's not even good. So wait a second. Now you're literally getting a very good player at his position compared to a below average player at his position. It makes, but what's the cap?
Talk to me about Dalton Schultz's contract. When is it going to be up? When is Dalton Schultz's contract going to be up?
I think he has one more year on it.
Okay. How much do you think he's going to make? It is up at free agent 2023. How much is he going to make in 2023?
Well, apparently the top 10 ends only getting paid $14 to $15 million a year, so not that much more than he's making now.
Okay, right now we're sitting here speculating, and I'm going to say something, and you're like, we don't know, so we can't talk about it. Okay, fine. Then this whole podcast was stupid. But if Dalton Schultz gets $18 million a year, and you're like, well, how do you know he gets $18 million a year? There's no way of telling. We will never know. We will never know. We won't know until next year, right? But we can speculate, Rocky. We can speculate. It's part of the game. Okay, it's part of podcast. It's part of life. Speculation, and sports speculation is part of it. Let's say he gets $18 million a year. You don't think Travis Kelce is going to be calling the front office and being like, hey, this guy makes more money than me? This is ridiculous. I want a new contract right now. Right? I want 20.
Too bad. He's got to wait till 2026. He's got 4 years left on his contract.
No, because players these days
locked in.
Because players these days can stay and they have too much control. You know it, I know it. They have too much. Okay, right now, what happens? Fine, you say that. Now, Kyle Pitts, right? In 3 years, Kyle Pitts' contract comes up, right? Or 2 years from now, Kyle Pitts comes up. A year after, Dalton Schultz just got $18 million. You want to say everyone's locked in? Fine, everyone's locked in, right? They're screwed. Right? Kyle Pitts is obviously way better than Dalton Schultz, let's say, right? We're all speculation right now, right? Kyle Pitts pans out to be this guy that was worth it to be a first round pick, or whatever, first round pick, whatever he was, 8th overall, whatever it was. right? He's better than that Dalton Schultz, right? He's like, well, obviously I need to make more than Dalton Schultz. I want 22 million a year, right? And then in 4 years from now, right, the same thing happens to Travis Kelce. He comes, or Mark Andrews, and they come and they're like, I'm way better than Kyle Pitts, right? Give me all the money. And then next, you have Mark Andrews signing a $30 million deal, and you're like, oh, Meisty was right. The market broke really quick. It's going to break in next year. The tight end market's going to get, and yes, maybe like, oh, that's not true because tight ends are going to restructure their deals. That's just how it is. That's just what happened. Look at all of them, Devontae Adams, and all these guys got new deals, right? Tyreek Hill on a new deal. DeAndre Hopkins can even restructure the deal, right? You have guys restructuring deals. That's just how it works.
Listen, Meisty, at the end of the day, I can't tell you, nor can you, nor can Morty tell me what's going to happen next year. But what I could tell you right now is I'm looking at the market. I'm looking at the market.
This one, Rocky. Rocky, this isn't like Rocky. What is it? 3 times in a row, and then it just got to happen again and again, right? Like this is how it works. Go to history. Look at every time the market broke for a position. It's a constant market break. As the salary cap rises, Rocky, the salary cap rises. Who gets paid every year? It's someone else. And every time the quarterbacks or contracts are up, they get paid more. Every time a contract is up on a player that's better, anytime a contract is up on a player that's better than someone getting paid more, he is going to get paid more, making it more and more and more. So when Lamar Jackson's contract is up in 6 years, whatever it is that they give him, right? And he's only making $45 million, and Aaron Rodgers is out there saying, well, I'm making. Aaron Rodgers is like, well, I'm much better. Let's say Aaron Rodgers wins a Super Bowl, right? So then you're like, well, Aaron Rodgers just won a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson did it. Aaron Rodgers is like, well, I should be making way more than Lamar Jackson, right? So he's going to be like, well, he already does. But he's like, I want even more than Lamar Jackson, right? Or Patrick Mahomes or someone. It's going to happen that way. It's just how it works. Contracts get better and better and more, and the salary cap goes up and up and up, and every position gets more and more money. Soon you'll have kickers and punters requesting, instead of $2 million, $4 million.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you want to go by that logic, wide receiver contracts will go up too, so it'll be the same thing. But anyway,
Right.
my point.
They just went up.
What?
They just
It'll
went
go up
up.
again. So then it'll go up again. According to you, it'll go up again. No question. Repeat of history. It's not even. I'm not trying to predict anything. It's inevitable.
Correct, Rocky. In 3 or 4 years.
What are you talking about predicting? I don't know the future. It's already going to happen.
3 or 4 years from now, Rocky, in 3 or 4 years from now, we'll be having a conversation, okay, about some receiver making a ton of money. And you're like, oh wow, what a contract. Well, no, when DJ Chark decides that he gets $16 billion on a deal, and everyone else is going to have to make more than DJ Chark because DJ Chark is clearly not the number 1 receiver in the league.
Fine. So what's the problem? I don't see the problem.
So I'll see you in 4 years to have the same discussion.
Too.
We'll have the same exact discussion year after year. We'll have the same podcast. You know what? Even funnier, we'll just have to go in and change the audio from 2022 to 2023.
Do the same, literally.
We just won't even have. Yeah, we'll just. We won't even have the same exact discussion.
The bottom line is this, Meisty. The bottom line is this. You can get incredible value by utilizing the tight end market right now. And I think if teams would tap into that, they would realize it, and they would be able to now distribute that money to other places. There's a whole roster to fill out. There are certain positions more important than others, but there's a whole roster to fill out. You can now spend half the amount getting the best tight end in football, and now you can now distribute that money to other players, leading to a better roster, leading to more wins, leading to a better chance at winning Super Bowl.
Outside Kyle Pitts, because he just got drafted, right? Name a tight end on a second contract, right? That's on a bad team. That's tier 1. That's a tier 1. None of them.
Oh my gosh, you keep on going back to the team thing. What does a team have to do with a player? I don't understand.
Because my point is that only a good team has the tight ends producing.
No, you know what your point is? You don't have any individual statistics to back up your point, so you just keep on going, well, what team is he on? But what team is he on? How many games is he on? That's the problem. I have stats to back up my facts. You don't. I'm talking about the individual performances. How are the quarterbacks playing when they are targeting him? How much are they utilizing him? How much production is that player bringing to the table? That's what I'm talking about. Not what the team is doing. What in the world does the team winning a Super Bowl have to do with the backup center? Nothing. But he won a Super Bowl. Have the Eagles ever won a Super Bowl without their backup center in 2016? Have they?
Not with their backup quarterback, though.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But that's for sure. Carson Wentz must get all the credit for that Super Bowl because he was on the roster and they won a Super Bowl with him on the roster.
I'm so glad.
I mean, he gets credit for getting them to the playoffs.
That's great, but you see how ridiculous this sounds. The backup center on the Eagles had nothing to do with the fact they won the Super Bowl. It had nothing to do with it. He didn't play. He's on the roster. So who cares if you're on a roster that wins the Super Bowl? If you produce, if you are impactful to your team, if you're a contributing factor in the fact that you win a Super Bowl, that's important.
Rocky,
that means you're causing your team to win games. But that's not what you're telling me. You're telling me because of the sole fact that if players on a team, therefore that
Rocky, I'm going to use your line. You're not even at the same back. You're not even at the same back right now. You got a long way to go. Rocky, you one thing that you don't understand contracts clearly. We're going to make that very clear. You're not understanding how contracts work, right? Number two, okay. You cannot tell me that if you put Travis Kelce on the worst team in the NFL right now, I don't know who that is, right? And it can't be Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not the worst team. They have a good quarterback.
Jets.
Young. Let's say the Lions, right? You're telling me right now that if you put Travis Kelce on the Lions, and Rocky's very high on the Lions, that's like the Lions. You're telling me that they would be very good.
I have no freaking. What does that have to do with this price of cheese? I would love to know. I'm talking about if Travis Kelce's good or not. And you're saying, well, if he was on the Lions, then this would happen and that would happen. I'm talking about what these guys have done throughout their career, which is the only thing.
Really? Okay, and what has Travis Kelce done without Tyreek Hill? We don't know because it's never happened.
What is it exactly? So let's judge him based off what he's done before. Why are we going to judge him?
What has he done without Tyreek Hill on his team? What has he done without Tyreek Hill on his team? Tell me. Give me numbers. I want to hear numbers. What has Tyreek Hill done? What has Travis Kelce done without Tyreek Hill on his team?
I have no idea. Neither do you.
Do you understand my point? Do you understand my point?
No. So wait. So because of the fact, let me just get this straight. Because of the fact that Travis Kelce has never played without Tyreek Hill, we have to throw the first 6 years of Travis Kelce's career out the window because we don't know, and none of it matters because we don't know what he's like without Tyreek Hill. That's what you're saying. Because he's never played without Tyreek Hill before, we have to throw it out the window. Forget everything you know about Travis Kelce. You can make believe he was never in the league because he never played without Tyreek Hill. Makes a lot of sense.
Saying either
that is literally what you're suggesting.
That's like saying that a dog is only one breed. It can't be half breed. You ever heard of dog being half breed? You're black
so
and white. No, you're not seeing any color, Rocky. No, Rocky. You are straight black and white here. You have no color at all. You're like it's either this or that. You're either good or Rocky. Travis. My point is that you're telling me right now that Travis Kelce doesn't get help. Right? His performance is not affected, right, with when Tyreek Hill is on the field. You're telling me that it doesn't help Travis Kelce get open when you have Tyreek Hill taking two guys with him deep down the field, probably even a third guy spying on him, right? You're telling me that Travis Kelce doesn't help him? Please explain this to me. I'm mind-boggled by this. I'm beyond. Please explain to me how Travis Kelce is not impacted by all the years with Tyreek Hill. Please go.
So
you have nothing to back it up. You said you have all the stats. You have zero stats.
I have nothing to back it up because it's never happened. You have nothing to back it up either. You're giving me this
theoretical. Now, tell me.
I don't understand.
What have the Ravens done, right, as Mark Andrews being their number one receiver?
You're doing it again.
Really?
What have the Ravens done because of an individual?
Hold on. I'll tell you what happened when when Tyreek Hill was the number one receiver on the Chiefs. You want to know? You ready, Rocky? What's the point of playing in the league? What's the goal? Winning a Super Bowl, Rocky. Winning a Super Bowl. And guess what?
It's done by a team, not an individual. What are the wins?
Having good receivers helps you win. Having a good tight end does not help.
That's not true. You have no proof for that. You have
I
no
have
proof of that.
Really?
You are not giving me any numbers of production. You're assuming.
Rocky, okay, just listen up real quick, okay. The tight end market right now, okay, was outpaid. There are no freaking tight ends right now that you can sign or that were being able to be signed or that are going to be signed in 3 months. I don't know how they're going to be tight ends in 3 months. You're talking about next year. So in next year, Rocky, guess what's going to happen? If you start paying tight ends, right, $10 million and you think you're going to get the same production, no, you're not. You're not getting the same production, Rocky. You're ignoring and I'm not talking about wins, Rocky. I'm talking about the top tier tight ends are all in good teams with good receivers. Just outside the top tier. Rocky, let me ask you one question. You offered me before Devontae Adams, right? And or what's his name? I'm gonna tell you. I'll take Cooper. Would you rather Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, right, or Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen?
What do you mean? But I don't think their contracts add up. Who? Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. How much Tyler Higbee is making?
You're only coming from a financial standpoint.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, Meisty. That is my entire point.
But what does that
My
have to
point
do
the
with
entire
anything?
time is from a financial perspective. I led the podcast.
That
by
doesn't
saying,
help you. Financial is nothing.
what the heck does that? That's all teams have to spend money to get players to win games. You win games because you get
to win games. Rocky, hold on. Who won more? Rocky, who won the end of the game? Rocky, Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp, or Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen? Oh, Adam Thielen, Travis Kelce.
What the heck are you talking about, Meisty? You need to utilize your salary cap as much as you can throughout the seasons. That's what you need to do. If that means
so add it up. Cooper Kupp, add it up for me. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. How much is that? And then add Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen. And tell me where does it make sense to go? And tell me that Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen are going to win your Super Bowl for Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, because Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee just won a Super Bowl. You'll be, well, their team won. No, their team won because of them. Because of Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, they won the Super Bowl. They had the most impact on that game. Tyler Higbee almost won MVP of the Super Bowl. Only gave it to Cooper Kupp because he's so good and he was incredible, right? But Tyler Higbee played fantastic that game. So don't sit here and say, "Oh, it's a team effort." It was them. They were the team. They were the most. Yes, the defense space was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. That was fantastic defense. Okay, fine, that was fantastic. But then the offense wins the game. The offense won the game there, right? As good as the defense was, the offense won the game for them.
Meisty, okay? That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. You know how much Cooper Kupp was making last year?
How much, Rocky?
Less than $20 million. He just signed the extension this year.
And how much is Tyler Higbee making?
So let's get a Cooper Kupp and a Tyler Higbee instead of just Devontae Adams. And guess what? You just said, they were the reason. They were your lowest part of the Super Bowl run.
Hold on, Rocky.
That's what the Rams did.
You're on the right page. Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp are on the same level. Are all tier one.
No, but the Rams utilized Cooper Kupp's rookie contract so that they can get another guy like Tyler Higbee. They can get other receivers.
Rocky, you just said you rather. Rocky, you just said you rather. Rocky, you're sitting here telling me that financially you rather Travis Kelce and Adam Thielen. I'm telling you no. Go get a top tier receiver for the same price as Travis Kelce, who actually less than Travis.
No, Meisty. The Rams did exactly what I'm saying. They utilized their salary cap before Cooper Kupp. Before they had to sign Cooper Kupp.
But now they have both of them.
Okay,
going into next year, they're both still there.
Please let me finish. Before they had to sign Cooper Kupp to a big contract, what did they do? They said, listen, we got one more, we got another year in his rookie contract. So let's go ahead and sign Tyler Higbee. Let's go ahead and sign OBJ. Let's go ahead and get Von Miller. Why? Let's distribute our salary cap throughout the roster, not just invest $30 million in our top receiver. We have a window here. We can get Matthew Stafford. We can get Von Miller. We can get all these players. Once we invest $30 million, $27 million, whatever it was in Cooper Kupp, we ain't going to be able to do that anymore. We're going to utilize it right now, and let's go ahead and win the Super Bowl. And you know what happened? They had a great receiving core. You're right. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee played great in the playoffs, as did Stafford, as did Von Miller, and all their signings paid off because they were able to distribute that. They put some pieces on the defense. They put some pieces in the receiving game. They got a quarterback. Boom, you got a Super Bowl because they distributed. They didn't get a Super Bowl because they put $30 million in the receiver position. Maybe that works sometimes, maybe it doesn't. But the better plan is to distribute your money wisely throughout the roster. That will
Now
lead
they
you to more
just
wins.
so now give me a rundown. So they gave Cooper Cup money, third, right? How much money now? How much money is he gonna make this year?
26.7.
Okay. And how much is and now Tyler Higbee's still there, correct? All right. And Von Miller's still there, Matthew Stafford's still there, OBJ will still be there. So they didn't change. So you're sitting there, oh, 1 year, they had 1 year. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They're spending more money. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't just use 1 year to utilize. They have more years. They're using all their years, right? They're signing all the guys. And you're like, well, how can we afford it? Because guys are taking pay cuts. Guys are taking pay cuts so that they can afford Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford and Von Miller and OBJ and Tyler Higbee. And you're sitting here and telling me that you rather have, and you just said my point. I'd rather pay Cooper Kupp $26 million a year and pay Tyler Higbee, a tier B receiver, a tier B tight end, right? Then have a tier A tight end and a tier B receiver. Sorry. Yes or no?
You know what? The rest of their roster is going to suffer. You watch. Because the rest of their roster is going to suffer. It's not because this happens to every team. You can't.
Really?
It's physically
Really?
impossible. It's physically impossible. Meisty, let me talk for. You literally don't let me talk for 5 seconds. I'm letting you talk for like 2 minutes, and you're not letting me talk for 5 seconds. Okay. Okay. What happens is when teams start to do that, and they dump salary into Cooper Kupp, and they dump salary, the other parts of the roster are going to suffer. Why? Because it's impossible. You only have so much salary cap. You're going to lose other players. It happens every time a team does this. So you have to make this conscious decision as a franchise. You have to say, listen, do I want to invest all this money in one player? Quarterback is a whole different story, of course. But do I want to invest all this money into Tyreek Hill like the Dolphins are doing? And they know that they have a small window now. Since they signed Tyreek Hill, there's only so much you can do in a couple of years from now, right? So they're going to say, we're going to go all in. We feel we have a good enough roster to do it. Or the other strategy is we won't go all in on a wide receiver. We'll pay half the amount for a really good tight end, and we'll pay the other half for above average wide receiver. Now, all of a sudden, you have 2 really solid contributors on the roster instead of 1 really good one, and so on and so forth. Or you could use the money for 2 offensive linemen, or you could use money for a pass rusher, for a cornerback. You name it, whatever it is, you can now distribute.
And when was the last time that was successful ever?
What is the Rams? We'll wrap that up over there. Thank you for joining us, everyone. That'll do it. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, your preferred platform. Thank you for joining us. If you're still with us, I applaud you. I certainly do. And till next time, everyone. We'll see you then.